Good evening.
Hello, and happy Monday, everybody.
Welcome to the conversation. Sometimes you can spend a lot of time with a spouse in the same physical space, but you're not sharing time relationally. And there are also times where you're not even spending time in a physical space. And tonight we're going to explore what our time is really saying.
It feels very abstract.
It does.
Here at the Love Seat, we desire to be transparent, to share from our experiences, and to encourage you in your marriage. We've been married for 21 years. We have 5 kids, and we've made plenty of mistakes. We've learned a lot of lessons, and we know that ultimately Jesus' grace is what makes us all worthy of being married and being a good spouse at all. We desire to share from our experiences and be transparent, and we'd like to talk a little bit about that tonight. The idea of spending time and feeding your marriage, and what does that look like, and what does that mean if you aren't spending a lot of time together, and how to remedy that.
So if you're out there and if you know me or if you've been following us for any length of time, you might know, or it may not be a surprise, that I love music. And I love music because it paints a picture emotionally. And I'm an emotional guy. There's no doubt about that. There's no secrets behind that. I'm an emotional guy. Music connects with me that way. And there's expressions and emotions that can be conveyed in music, sometimes, for me, more poignantly than any way else. So as we were going through this, there's actually a new song that just came out last Friday by the Grey Havens, which is a group that they're kind of an indie group. I really enjoy them. If you've never checked them out, you should check them out. The Grey Havens. We all do Spotify or Apple Music or something these days, right? Does anyone actually buy any music? If you buy music out there, give us a thumbs up. If you just stream your music, give us a heart. But I don't know that many people buy music too much anymore.
I was going to say, I don't think we'll get very many thumbs up.
So you can stream this song really easily. It's called Magic in the Moment. I'm just going to read you the first verse in the chorus, and I think it kind of typifies some of what we're talking about. It's a beautiful world, such a beautiful gift. They say there's magic in the moment. Yeah, I've been missing it. Got a beautiful wife and a beautiful kid, but I got a phone in my pocket, and I've been choosing it. All of these moments I have missed, all this time wasting it. But if there's magic to find still up ahead, I want all of it. And that just really symbolizes to me kind of what we're discussing tonight. That magic in a moment. The moments are worth the investment of time. And as the title of tonight's conversation is, Time Reflects Priorities. Do you want to break that down a little bit?
So we say that, well, we can say it about a lot of things, specifically when it comes
to...
Oh,
look. Becca said, unless it's for the kids, then CDs. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very true, Becca.
Unless... So it can apply to so many areas, but since we're specifically focusing on our marriages,
yeah,
the idea of choosing the easy route, for those of us, I think a lot of us, our peers, have kids, and so when it comes to spending time together, you kind of find yourself. Let's say it's the end of a day, just a weekday. And you have the choice the kids are in bed, and you have the choice to relax, or you have the choice to engage with your spouse and have a conversation about your day,
right.
Or maybe even play cards or do something fun with your spouse, maybe together you're cleaning up the kitchen. There's a few different options, but I think it's really easy to pick the option that is the most self-focused. Likely sitting down in front of the TV, or both of you are sitting down in front of the TV and one of you's on your phone, or
which is when you think about it, you're watching a screen, but you're also looking at a phone, which is a screen. It doesn't really make sense when you break it down, but we've all done it.
We all do it. Or one of you chooses to sit on the couch and the other one realizes that the kitchen needs to be cleaned up, and so the other person is dealing with the kitchen. What's another example?
So I'm going to go with an example of if you don't have kids, because we have people who are watching this who don't have kids at all. And what happens, especially when you're newly married, is that you're not used to using the end of your day to invest in someone else. So really it's, before I left the house, I was going to finish up that project around the house. Like maybe you had some trim, or you were painting something, or building a birdhouse. That's something I've been doing with Grace. So maybe that's something you're doing. It's simple as finishing a task that, even if you wouldn't say is selfish because you're doing it for for the whole family, for even if that's just you and your wife, it's still taking away from the time that you guys can invest in one another.
So another thing is maybe on the weekends, if you're going hanging out with friends, and are you all together, or is one spouse going and hanging out with friends and the other spouse is home with the kids or home with obligations? We're not talking about one of you works the day shift and the other works the night shift and you're just not together. We're not talking about maybe you're paying off debt and you both are working 2 or 3 jobs. We're not talking about, there's plenty of times where you truly aren't able to spend and really invest in your marriage, but it's about the heart of where your focus is. And so the times that you do have together, or the times that you, if you are just really missing your spouse, are you doing things to show them that you love them?
Yeah. If you are so wrapped up in your tasks and checking off your boxes when you get home, your spouse notices that. They begin to see, without you even saying it, that there is a order of priority, and that they assumed that their priority was at the top of your list. I mean, that's what we vow when we get married, is that you are my everything. If you are my everything, but yet making sure that screw is tightened, and maybe you even asked me to, so I'm technically doing something that you asked, even then, if you have limited time together, we really want to encourage that investment in one another. Something where you actually engaging each other in conversation. So you can play cards. We have a game that we play called Garbage, and it is a simple game. If you don't know how to play that and you want to add that to your repertoire, we'll help you.
Saturday morning, the kids and I were all playing it. So we had our 5, 7, 9, and 14-year-old, and we were all playing together. So it's super easy.
Yeah, if your kids can do it, then you and your spouse can do it.
No strategy involved. Those are also fun because you can play and you don't have to be thinking about what you're doing.
Or possibly make a move that your spouse gets frustrated by because you've dominated them in some game. So something that allows you to still have an active conversation. Those times are precious. Moments, like the song said, magic in the moment. There are magic in the moments, because do you know what? I remember those moments more than I remember the moments that I made our dining room table. You love our dining room table. But I remember a few pieces of that, but I remember card games that we've played more fondly and more accurately than I do making a huge table. Even though both are for you, the investment in time, there's something that carries, and that is what your spouse is looking for. Your spouse is looking for your investment of your time, because that's what we have such a finite amount of.
So if we have a wife listening or a husband listening and they're thinking, I want to be with my spouse, or maybe in hearing this conversation they're thinking, maybe we're not on the same page. How do they start the conversation to remedy that?
There's a number of ways to ask. I'm a big believer, firm believer, whatever you want to say, in being open and honest with your spouse at times that you're going to have a conversation. So not when you're getting ready in the morning and you're brushing your teeth. Yeah. Hey, dear, do we spend enough time together? And that's not even necessarily the right question. But you find a time where you're engaged. So you're looking at your spouse.
Making eye contact, you're talking. Because that's another thing, side note, that there'll be times that I'll realize kind of at the end of the day that I haven't looked at you. And I think a lot of times I realize it more with our kids first, because I'm doing things and I'm responding to them. So for you and I...
doing things with your thumbs. Does that mean you're on your phone? Was that what doing things was?
No, I don't think so.
I just think I don't know, audience, I think she was just...
Maybe.
I don't know.
I was thinking of like dishes.
Oh,
what
okay.
I was
Okay.
doing in my mind.
It looked like you were touching a screen.
I'll take my thumbs out.
Okay.
So if you're doing a task and you're talking, that's not the same thing.
No.
It's actually looking at your spouse and having a interactive, focused conversation so that they see that your eye contact means that you're listening instead of potentially thinking about something else.
And you know what is wonderful about looking at someone in the eye when you're talking? I'm reminded how beautiful you are. I get to see your eyes. I mean, we married our spouse for a reason. So look at them. I mean, you were attracted to them at some point. I'm pretty sure you're still attracted to them. And so looking at them allows you to just drink in their beauty. And then you can say something not threatening and not accusatory. It's something of, I was just wondering, do you think we spend enough time together? Is there anything, a great question. Husbands, listen, okay, we got our ears perked. If you have your husbands watching like the replay, you can come to this point, we're 12 minutes and 15 seconds into it. You can say, was I the husband? Oh, I was the husband. I forgot who I was.
Say nothing. Is that what you're trying to
No.
Don't talk?
Husband says, dear, or whatever you call them, whatever pet name you have for them. Dear, is there anything in my life that you feel is more important to me than you are? And let them have time to speak. Do you think wives would respond truthfully to that question?
Wives would respond truthfully to that question?
Yes, because I spoke as a husband.
Me
I was saying husband
asking
said.
You.
No, I asked you. As the husband, I asked the wife. Dear.
Yes, I'm sorry. I
You're
was saying it
confusing the people.
backwards.
Now they're not.
So
let's
you're
read it.
asking me
Yes.
if there's anything that I feel like is more important to
Me
you
than you are.
Me.
That it sounded clear when I came up, but when you said it, I'm kind of got confused. Hopefully you guys understand what we're saying.
So I could say, I feel like you spend too much time with your hobby of... Currently, I'm not sure that you have any hobbies. You work a lot currently. But...
One of my side jobs is I train. I coach CrossFit.
Yep.
So you could say I spend too much time thinking about CrossFit. It's possible.
A better thing to do is rewind, because we have had these conversations where you've said... maybe you can just kind of sense that there's some tension at home, and so you do dial back, and so our conversation would look a little bit different today because we've already had it.
Right. Well, we're giving them examples.
We've already had and so as a result, I think it's important to talk this through, because now as a result, you run it by me quick before you add clients.
Yeah.
Or you have, if it's outside of a time parameter, then you say, hey, this is going to run into, I'll be done at 6:00 in the evenings. Are we okay with this on this particular day?
Because we've established the fact that your importance to me is above anything else I have. So I'm consistently checking with you, is this now infringing on time? Because I will say no if you feel it's getting to that place. Okay, so we're kind of further on that spectrum. So then what would you say is a question if you're at the first part of that spectrum of we're having issues with time with each other. Maybe it's both, maybe it's singly by one spouse. What's the right intro question?
Well, I don't think it's a question. I think it's I would like more of you, more time with you. I'd like more uninterrupted time with you. I think it's I would like type of statement.
So you're coming from the spouse who is feeling that their time demands are not being met, their desired time demands are not being met. You just you open up and you make yourself vulnerable and you say, I need more. Because
it's important. If you're having this conversation, there might be not always, but there might be some hurt. There might be something that you're, if this is ringing a bell with you, if this conversation is standing out to you, then there's probably something that's going on, and you need to be able to ask the question of if you're feeling like your spouse is choosing something else instead of you. The question then becomes: is the spouse choosing that thing to escape the relationship, or is the spouse going to that, are they drawn to that and not even realizing that they're ignoring their spouse? So is there tension in the relationship that it's just easier to watch TV and to not talk, or is that a passive choice that then is resulting in the tension and that's creating tension in the marriage?
Yeah, a good possible, like if date nights always include another couple, that can be an indicator that there's issues going on, because date nights really need to be between the two of you. I mean, going out with another couple is fun, but that should not be the majority of your date nights. And if it is, that can be. I'm not saying it always is, but that can be an indicator of an issue.
When we were in the first half of our marriage, so before infidelity and separation on our part, we had one child and we had regular date nights, and we were considered healthy. But those date nights were going to dinner and then going to a movie, and a lot of times going to a bookstore where we would individually, or something like that, and we would individually go and just kind of browse and look around.
Who doesn't like food, movie, and books by themselves?
But we weren't.
That's kind of what it was.
We weren't connecting. We weren't interacting.
No. So husbands, again, we're at 17:20. If you after 12:10 or whatever that was.
12:15.
Fast forward to 17. Well, we're now 17:30.
Well, they should listen to the 12:15.
Well, yeah. Okay. So then, husbands, here we go again. If your wife says that to you, I need more of you, do not become defensive. The first thing out of your mouth is not but.
No buts.
No buts allowed.
Bite your butts.
Yeah. Cover up the butts. Get them out of here. Your first one is, dear, thank you for telling me. I'm so sorry that you feel like this thing means more to me than you do, because you mean more to me than anything, and da-da-da-da. Now, if she says that to you and in the back of your mind you're like, that is more important than you are, that's another conversation, and we haven't really touched on that tonight, and we're not going to, but generally the idea is going to be, most husbands do not want to replace their wives with something else. But it's important that we hear our wives and we give them the authority that they have in our lives. They know us really well. So if they're telling you that, it's not that they can't see things right. It's that there's an issue that needs to be addressed. And I'm not saying it's a huge issue that you just have to completely give up, but they're not making it up to control you. They're not making it up to make you feel bad. They're not trying to take away all your fun. There's an issue, and we need to empathize, and we need to comfort, and we need to make sure that they've been heard. There we go.
Yeah.
What about wives? Anything, if a husband said that to a wife?
I think the same thing. I think if you can't say, I'm sorry that my actions have caused you to feel that way, if you can't apologize and acknowledge and move forward, start with, okay, I'm listening. Even if you aren't on the same page of, I totally, right off the bat, I can see where you're coming from and let's fix this. Start with, I'm listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think it's easy to, for me, with currently staying at home with the kids, at the end of the day, I am not always interested in having a conversation.
Right.
And that sometimes that's okay, and sometimes I'll tell you I just can't talk about anything. Can we watch a movie instead and make that a choice? But that's definitely not going to be, that'll be the exception.
Yeah, it's not
so it's not always the norm. And if that is the case, then I need to do things differently in my day where that isn't always the case. So a lot of times I would say that 9 times out of 10, you're just not always aware that you're choosing something that is what you want to do, and I don't want to say that I don't want to spend time with you, but just something that's more selfish.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's good. That's good stuff. Yeah, if I do say so myself. I always feel bad when I say that, but
these conversations, they're always so good because the Lord has really laid the love seat on our hearts. And when we have these conversations, it's not because we are experts at marriage. He is just, the Holy Spirit is so good, and he's showing us these things, and we still have the choice to after this, are we going to go talk, or are we going to, zone out and do whatever is easiest for us? Right. Because it is a choice. And so
absolutely.
When we say this is good stuff, it's not because we're like, oh, I love listening to myself talk. It's just, it's what he's laying on our hearts, and we're just reminded that this is so important.
Yeah, well, we're always here to encourage and equip. We want to get to know you and your story. We want to help you. We want to reach out in any way that we can to provide that encouragement, that equipping. So let us know. I'm actually going to post a link to the song in the comments once this posts of the lyrics that I read. If you just want to hear it, they're a great band to listen to anyway. But we are just... It's always wonderful on a Monday night to speak with you, and we look forward to doing that next week. So until then, we'll
have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, take care, guys.